The door opens at 1,500 feet, and the noise of Iran hits you first. Anti-aircraft fire, tracers. The flat plains of Khuzestan lit orange by 35 days of American airstrikes, still burning below. Sergeant Kowalski doesn't look down. He looks at the man in front of him. The man jumps. Kowalski jumps. 3,000 paratroopers follow in the next 90 seconds. The largest American combat jump since Panama into continental Iran. This is a fictional military scenario based on real U.S. Armed Forces capabilities. It does not depict actual events. Day 35 of Operation Epic Fury. Over 11,000 targets struck across Iran. The IRGC's command structure shattered. Iran's conventional military degraded beyond recovery. But Iran is still winning, not on the battlefield, at the negotiating table. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. Every day it stays closed. $3 billion bleeds from the global economy. Oil above $100 a barrel. Gas above $4 at the pump. Trump's approval rating at its lowest point in his presidency. Khuzestan Province is Iran's economic heart. Without it, the Islamic Republic cannot fund its military, cannot pay its proxies, cannot survive. It contains the Ahvaz oil fields, the largest crude reserves in the country. The Abadan Refinery, once the largest in the world, processing 400,000 barrels per day. More than 80% of Iran's oil revenue flows from this single province. Trump said it 3 days ago. We're going to take the oil. The 82nd Airborne is going to make that happen tonight. Iran knew this operation was coming. The IRGC's 7th Vali Asr Armored Division has been repositioning for 72 hours, hundreds of T-72 tanks pre-staged east of the Karun River. Fajr rocket batteries registered on every beach approach. Basij fighters embedded inside Abadan's civilian infrastructure. And 48 hours ago, Iraqi PMF militias, 500 fighters, confirmed inside the city. They are not just defending, they are waiting. CENTCOM has one answer for everything Iran is waiting with. 2 forces, 2 objectives, moving simultaneously. 3,000 paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne's 1st BCT drop onto Ahvaz International Airport at 1,500 feet, seizing the only airfield in the province and cutting every reinforcement route the IRGC has from central Iran. 5,000 Marines from the 11th MEU hit the coast and don't stop until they reach the refinery. Between the 2 forces, everything Iran has left in Khuzestan. The 48-hour window is everything. Before Iranian reinforcements mass from the Zagros Mountains, before diplomacy intervenes, before Trump's April 6 deadline forces a different decision. Between the Marines and Abadan stands one obstacle that no airstrike can remove: the Karun River. The Karun runs through the center of Khuzestan, directly between the amphibious landing zone and the primary objective. The IRGC has pre-positioned armor on the eastern bank. Any Marine advance requires crossing under fire, unless the armor never gets there. At 0200 hours, 8 F-15E Strike Eagles simultaneously destroy every bridge over the Karun and Karkay rivers, the only routes the IRGC 7th Division can use to rush armor westward from Ahvaz. Both rivers cut before a single American boot touches Iranian soil. 6 minutes later, 3,000 paratroopers exit C-17s at 1,500 feet above Ahvaz International Airport, the only airfield in the province capable of receiving heavy transport aircraft. Seize it, and the entire ground operation has a logistics hub. Lose it, and 8,500 soldiers fight without resupply. On the coast, 5,000 Marines from the 11th MEU hit the beach at Bandar Imam Khomeini under A-10 close air support, pushing northwest toward Abadan and the refinery. AH-64 Apaches cover both axes. HIMARS in Kuwait pre-sighted on every IRGC armor position in the province. At 200, everything starts at once. Subscribe to Operation Fury. We deploy a new combat scenario every week. Don't miss the next operation. Ajo 200 hours. The F-15Es cross the Karun River at 600 knots and release 8 bridges, 8 GBU-31 joint direct attack munitions, 8 seconds of silence. Then the Karun lights up from end to end, concrete and steel collapsing into the river in a chain of explosions that illuminates Khuzestan's flat plains for 30 kilometers in every direction. The IRGC 7th Division's armor, east of the river near Ahvaz, is cut off from Abadan in a single stroke. The window is open. 40 minutes later, Kowalski exits his C-17 at 1,500 feet above Ahvaz International Airport. 3,000 paratroopers fill the dark sky around him, dropping directly onto continental Iranian soil. The first shots come before anyone reaches the ground. IRGC fighters in fortified positions on the runway's northern edge open up into the descending formation. AK-103 fire cutting through parachute canopies before anyone touches the ground. 2 paratroopers take hits mid-air and land hard. Kowalski unhooks running, M4A1 up, 12 soldiers on his flanks, cutting toward the IRGC position across open tarmac in total darkness. For 19 minutes, Ahvaz Airport is a kill box. The 1st BCT's recon squadron pushes south through darkness, while the main element drives straight at the runway, 2 forces closing on the same position from opposite directions. When the ZU-23-2 anti-aircraft gun traverses toward the infantry, a waiting AH-64 Apache puts 2 Hellfire missiles through it. At Aero 347 hours, Major's Gendarme, Tegtmeyer transmits from the airport's control tower. Ahvaz airfield secured. Epic Fury Romeo, we are Oscar Mike. 32 minutes earlier, on the coast. The T-72 column is exactly where it should be, east of the Karun, cut off, stationary. Then it moves. Current imagery shows something no targeting analyst predicted. The T-72s aren't using the bridges. They found a ford. 40 main battle tanks, crossing the Karun on foot, unmarked on every U.S. map in theater, bearing directly toward the Marine column pushing toward Abadan. On the coast at 03:15 hours, the first Marine wave hits Bandar Imam Khomeini. AAV-7 amphibious assault vehicles surge through the surf and onto the dock aprons of Iran's largest petrochemical port. IRGC naval infantry open from warehouse positions, RPGs, PKM machine guns, and pre-registered mortar fire bracketing the beach. 3 Marines go down in the first 60 seconds. But the Marines are already through. The 3rd Battalion turns northwest, 12 kilometers to Abadan. That is when the Iraqi militias emerge. 500 PMF fighters, ATGMs, and IEDs push from Abadan's urban sprawl directly into the Marines' western flank. Civilian trucks, no uniforms. Fire from between residential buildings. Lieutenant Colonel Hayes, 3rd Battalion commander, transmits, "Contact west, urban terrain, mixed civilian-military signatures. Request CAS, danger close." 2 A-10 Thunderbolts roll in at 500 feet. The GAU-8 cannon fires for 4 seconds. 7 PMF vehicles burn simultaneously at the edge of Abadan's industrial district. But the tanks are still coming. 40 T-72s crossing open terrain toward the Marine column's exposed left flank. 22 minutes to firing range. At that range, a T-72 round goes through a Marine's body armor like it isn't there. Hayes transmits. Flat voice. CENTCOM, Kilo 6, 40 armor tracks bearing 270 20 clicks. Request HIMARS immediate. We cannot hold Abadan without it. 300 kilometers away in Kuwait, 2 M142 HIMARS launchers receive the grid. 90 seconds later, 12 GMLR's rockets arc across southern Iran at Mach 3. The lead tank takes a direct hit and stops. The column bunches. The second salvo destroys 4 more tanks and the command vehicle. The formation breaks, individual T-72s dispersing into terrain folds, losing cohesion as a fighting unit. 30 seconds of fire from 300 kilometers. The threat is gone. By 1400 hours on day 1, 3rd Battalion reaches Abadan's northern perimeter. The refinery, 400,000 barrels of daily processing capacity, stands intact. The IRGC garrison is surrounded on the river island with no bridge, no armor, no reinforcement route. At 0600 hours on day 2, they surrender. Would HIMARS have been enough to stop 40 T-72s in open terrain? Drop your answer in the comments and tell us what scenario you want to see next. 48 hours after the first paratrooper left the aircraft, an American flag flies over the Abadan refinery. The airfield is a U.S. logistics hub, the port is intact, and the refinery, 400,000 barrels of Iranian oil per day, is in American hands. CENTCOM damage assessment. 31 IRGC armored vehicles destroyed by HIMARS, 14 by Apache. The 7th Division's offensive capability in Khuzestan is broken. 900 IRGC and Basij fighters killed or captured. U.S. casualties, 11 killed in action, 47 wounded. Iran's supreme leader issues a statement vowing to retake Khuzestan. His generals know the math, and the math says it would be a massacre. The parliament speaker who promised to set American soldiers on fire 3 days ago is not taking calls. Without Khuzestan, Iran cannot sustain the war, cannot fund the proxies, cannot keep the Strait of Hormuz closed without the economic foundation that gives that leverage meaning. 72 hours after the refinery falls, the first oil tanker in 36 days enters the Strait of Hormuz. The world's most critical waterway is open. 48 hours. That is how long it took to seize the financial heart of the Islamic Republic. The paratroopers jumped into Iran in total darkness and didn't stop until the airfield was American. The Marines crossed a beach under fire and didn't stop until the refinery was American. And when 40 T-72s came for them across open terrain, HIMARS answered from 300 kilometers away in 90 seconds. Khuzestan is secured. But Iran's answer is already forming. The Quds Force has activated every network that survived 35 days of U.S. and Israeli strikes. Proxy forces across Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon are receiving a single targeting package, not an airfield, not a port, not a refinery. The troops holding Abadan. What happens when Iran's full proxy network converges on 8,500 American soldiers in the middle of southern Iran? That scenario is next. Subscribe to Operation Fury and hit the bell. The Abadan siege scenario drops next. See you on the next operation.